How are you?
I'm doing great, G2. The best thing about this discussion is we're actually sitting together. As much as we love the technology, we're sitting in the same room.
That's a rare event. That doesn't happen that frequently, so I'm cherishing this right now.
Well, it hasn't been, but I think it's good news for us, hopefully, that we're trying to get to the other side here, and we're looking forward to it.
Indeed. But the past year has completely changed everything, as you know, and you've talked about it quite a bit. What are our customers telling you about hybrid work?
Well, first of all, I think everyone has come to the conclusion that we are going to be operating in a model where you'll have some employees that'll work from home all the time, small percentage that'll work in the office all the time, but the majority of the employees, they want the hybrid experience. They want to work from home some, work in the office some. And I think what that results in now is every customer is trying to figure out what does that mean to my technology footprint, my architecture, how I build it, and particularly like with meetings, right? Because every meeting is going to have a remote participant. And
so 98% of them, according to studies we've done.
At least 98%.
Yeah.
And thinking about how you create an environment where everyone feels equally included in those sessions is something everyone's trying to figure out, as well as safety of return to work. How do we deal with all these dynamics? And in some cases, they're thinking through like policy around when people come in and all that. So it's pretty complicated right now.
Yeah.
But it's pretty consistent.
And I think it is going to be harder with this mixed mode than being in exclusive, being in the office or being at home.
I think that's right. And the irony is as we've experienced recently, in pre-pandemic times, if you were the remote person, you were typically at a disadvantage in the meeting. You didn't feel like you were really a part of the meeting because everybody in the room was there. And now on the occasion where you have 2 or 3 people in a conference room and the other 8 or 10 are at their homes, the conference room actually feels that way because they get relegated to the same size block that everybody else is in. So there's a lot of work that I know you guys are doing to actually sort of navigate that and create a more inclusive and equal kind of feeling for every participant, regardless of where they are, which is
we've got a way to solve that problem.
It's the right thing.
Yep.
It's the right thing to do.
Now, you've publicly spoken about the fact that there's been times when people had asked you a couple of years ago, why are you in the collaboration business? And if you think about it today, there's very few that probably ask you that question. But why is this strategic for us at Cisco, at the Cisco level?
First of all, it's a great business. It is aligned to the business model transition we've been trying to do from a SaaS perspective. But more importantly, it is incredibly important to our customers. Yeah. It was important before the pandemic, and now it's more important than we ever dreamed it could be. Yeah. And so how their employees stay productive in this new world, how they communicate effectively with customers, because their customers now are actually going to accept this type of communication and in many cases expect it. Yeah. And whereas before, it might not have been that way. And I think that, so it's really important. It's also an area inside our customer where our brand shows up in front of the user, right? So that's an important thing for us from a branding perspective. And then obviously looking at what our customers need from an architectural perspective with calling integrated with meetings and conferencing, as well as contact center, that's just the customer experience.
It's pretty rich.
And the employee experience is so important going forward. Yeah. And so I think it's so much more important than it was even 2 years ago.
I was thinking about this, Chuck. I think you and I have met today for the 5th time in person. I've been here for 10 months, so once every 2 months.
That much?
I know, exactly. But I consider you a friend at this point. And it's been, we barely met in person, and that's the power of this technology as you think about it.
It is the power of the technology, and the fact that everyone went to this mode made it the normal communication mode. So if it was an exception that we were meeting over video when I was meeting with everyone else face to face, I think it wouldn't have felt as natural. But since everyone was doing it and you were doing this for every meeting, it just felt very natural.
That's right.
You came to us this way. We also hired a new CFO over video as well. So it proves that we can do virtually anything, including delivering healthcare and education and everything else over this technology.
Which is so exciting when you start opening up the possibility. But now it's no secret it's a competitive market.
Yes.
And we've got a fair number of skeptics as well. So what would you say to the skeptics?
We needed to do some work, and I think you and the team have done an incredible job. The feature velocity and the focus on the user experience has been incredible. If you think about when we built this product, first of all, it was an on-prem platform that was built originally, and we built it with deep enterprise security. That was front and center for us. Yep. And if you're going to build a product that is all about user experience, then you tend not to think about security as much on the front end. So what you guys have done a masterful job of is getting the user experience to an incredible place. I think it's the best in the business today.
The
features that you have now are the best in the industry today. and you still get that enterprise class security, and you get the architecture that brings you, integrates calling and integrates contact center, et cetera. So I think a lot of customers now have said, you know what, we made a pandemic decision.
Yeah.
And now, as we come out of the pandemic, we need to make a long-term strategic architectural decision. And so I would just encourage everybody to take a look, because you guys have done some amazing things.
Thank you. I think the team's done a fantastic job. So what surprised you the most about the past year when you really think about this macro environment, the new way of working, and what do you think is going to stay versus
I think
change in the future?
the resilience of the technology, first of all. I mean, if you think about both the fundamental internet and the carrier networks all around the world, as well as Webex platform and others,
Yeah.
they were never designed with the last 18 months in mind, but it held up.
Yeah.
It held up. And then you move to the productivity discussion that employees could be productive, but I think that was balanced or counteracted with some of the stress that it introduced for certain people with being in the environment that we were stuck in. But I think the other was that you can deliver education, you can deliver healthcare. It also highlighted, digital divide, where the students who were at home who didn't have broadband, didn't have laptops, it highlighted that for us. And so what I think is, hopefully it will give us the impetus to go solve those kinds of problems.
Yeah.
And it also, I think, the natural ability to communicate this way or that way over video will stay with us. And people will accept it. I'll do more meetings that way than in the past. I would have flown all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that what I hope stays with us too is the understanding that some of the biggest challenges we face in the world, we can begin to address them by using this technology. If you think about, if we get broadband connectivity into rural areas, into underserved areas, we can deliver education, we can deliver some aspect of healthcare, and now we know that we can actually create jobs for people in those communities where they don't have to relocate to major metropolitan areas.
Right.
And so there's an awful lot we learned that we can take forward and use in solving some of the challenges that we face in the country and frankly in the world.
And Chuck, I always tell people I was an immigrant, as you know, many years ago over here. And if I hadn't immigrated to America at the time, I would have probably not had the opportunity and access to opportunity that I've been fortunate to have. And I'd like for the next generation to not have that be a restraint and a constraint. So it's such a privilege to actually be able to level the playing field if we can do that. So it's a bold ambition, but I think it gets started with what you've done with the company, which is the mission statement of the company is to power an inclusive future for all. And how do you see the technologies and what expectations do you have from all of us from a technology perspective to make sure that we are not just having that as an empty mission statement, but something that translates into investments in technology that we are delivering to the market?
We wanted it to have substance and not just be some tagline, because hollow taglines actually have the opposite effect. They actually make people more skeptical about what you really care about.
Yeah.
And so if you don't live it and you don't execute against it, then I think it actually does you harm. But when we first came out with it, it was about what I was just talking about. Our technology connects people at the most basic level and provides them opportunity to participate in the global economy. And now we can deliver education. We know that already. We deliver healthcare. We know that now. And then we have our community service. Our corporate social responsibility, our community services work has always been in this space. So you combine the technology of connectivity and providing opportunity with what we believe in our communities, and I think we live this every day. And then working with you and your team and thinking about the inclusive recovery and the need to drive inclusiveness through the technology as we bring people back together, even in areas like we're sitting now for those employees. Creating the features and the thinking that you're doing right now around leveraging the platform to actually further inclusion is very powerful. So it's even expanded since we originally came up with it. But I'm really proud of the team and really proud of that as our purpose.
They've done an amazing job. And the way we think about it is the core product identity is around inclusivity. So everything that we build should actually further the cause of inclusivity. So last question that the team's asked me to ask you. I know you've traveled a bit already, but what is your favorite place that you want to travel to once this ban lifts up?
Everywhere. But I will say, last year when New York was at such a difficult spot, I said, the place I want to go is New York, because I know when I'm back in New York, we're going to be well down the path of having this thing behind us. And I'm actually going to New York next week. And now I'd probably say India for the same reason. I joked with many of our customers in India over video before this second wave hit again. I told them that I've never been so excited about getting on a plane for 22 hours as
Yeah.
as I would
Yeah.
be to go visit India right now. So I think now it's turned into, I want to go to India because I know that that country will be in a much better place when that opportunity arises, and I think that's really important. It's such a sad situation.
It is, and our heart goes out to all the folks in India. Chuck, I know that I speak for you, and I say that we're honored that the audience is here with us today.
Absolutely.
And we're so excited for all the innovation that we're doing, and I'm hoping that, I always tell people, this is the fastest we've seen Webex innovate
Yep,
in the past 15 years.
that's right.
And it's the slowest you'll see the innovation rate in the next 4 years, because we are going to go even faster than now. So
It makes your team very nervous, but I like to hear that.
thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
such an honor to work with you every day, and we're excited to keep making sure that we can further your